What you want, stranger? I don't have time for chit-chat.
The marsh is dangerous. You should not delve into it as you do. Just passing through, I wanted to meet one who braves the marsh.
And I am honored to meet one so thick as to think this pond is a marsh.
Oh. You're bold. I'd like to know your name, so I can carve it into your headstone. Forgive my impertinence. I would simply like to know your name.
And the politeness continues. Perhaps I'm speaking with a noble. My apologies, my lord. Ha ha ha. Don't worry, traveler. I meant no offense. There are simply so many bandits here in Skyrim, and such few persons of character. As for my name, my clan once knew me as Anumla, but fighting folk called me the Swamp Knight.
And tell me how you got the name the Swamp Knight.
Well, it's a short story. I carry a sword. I'm from the swamps of Black Marsh. Do you need me to continue, or can you piece it together from here?
Well, I thought there might be more to it, frankly. There's much more to it than just being an Argonian.
You're a clever one. Saw right through my glib response. All right, I'll tell you. But it's a long story. So you might want to sit down for this one.
I don't have a chair, but I will stand instead. How is that?
I was hatched in a small tribal village, lost in the swamps between Thorn and Hellstrom. In other words, in the middle of nowhere. As the hatchling of a small and pitiful clan, I couldn't afford to travel to the city and train under the guidance of the tribal guard.
Why didn't your people just make carriages like the Nords? I understand that most travel is done by boat. Don't Argonians travel inside giant worms? Oh man, she would punch me for that. Most travel is done by boat.
Right you are. But few boats stopped by my village.
You said you were born in a tribal village, but it couldn't have been isolated.
There were visitors. In fact, every few years, a recruiter from the city would come to the village and conscript those in the clan who showed promise. Only a handful of hatchlings were chosen. All of them were males. Males I bested in combat 100 times over. I figured the only way I'd be a soldier was to train on my own. So, one night, I went out into the deepest swamps with nothing but a hist branch.
And what happened in the swamp?
I committed myself to killing a feather serpent. On the second night, I thought I'd vanquish 3. By the first hour, my only goal was to survive. Somehow, I managed. I labored through the bog and hid inside a hollowed-out tree. I waited and watched for predators. And as I watched, I learned.
What did you see?
I saw how the serpent camouflaged itself in the foliage. How the Leviathan waded effortlessly through the swamp, simply by refusing all effort. I saw how on bright days the lizard used the Hackwing's own shadow to scuttle around unseen, and how on dark days all creatures clung to the mist. By the time I was grown, I could slay 5 feathered serpents with a single slash and do it with my eyes closed.
So you've explained why you got the name Swamp Knight, but not how.
True enough. The name came when I joined a company of fighters, many of whom were celebrated warriors from all over Tamriel. There were members who served as honor guards for tribal chieftains, and those who trained under guild masters and various regiments of the Empire. There were even retired assassins from the renowned Shadow Scales of legend, but none knew of who I was, or why I was recruited to join the company.
How come?
The truth was, I was never supposed to be there. I had found the invitation on a courier while traveling west toward Gideon. Undaunted, I told them the story of how I trained to become a knight. I used that exact word. In truth, I'd only heard the word knight in passing. But when travelers from strange lands used the term, their words spoke with a tone heavy with reverence. That's how I wanted them to speak about me. Naturally, the company laughed uproariously at my expense. They dubbed me the Swamp Knight, and I've been that ever since.
Strange that no one questioned your involvement. So you aren't even a real knight. Might as well just call yourself the Swamp. No, that's mean! Strange that no one questioned your involvement.
Oh, they did. But Dalum A assured them I was on the up and up. He was our leader and the one who assembled the crew. I never asked him why. Maybe he was just curious. Maybe he ascribed it to fate. Maybe he thought he could make a wife out of me. Poor fool never had a chance.
Well, what brought you to Skyrim?
That's an old story. Back when the Hrothgar monks had milk in their beards from sucking their mother's teats. Okay, maybe not that old, but old. I was traveling in Black Marsh with a company of fighters. We fashioned ourselves the Honorable Eight.
And what was this company's makeup?
We were an elite band of fighters, hired to do jobs common sellswords weren't equipped for. At first, I thought the honorable part was a joke. Our company was made up of liars, drunkards, and lying drunkards.
My kind of people.
But they were all loyal. And they were all honorable. They were good beasts, mare and men.
That doesn't seem like a good business model. Honor is a word poor people throw around to justify their poverty. By the way, I know the Greybeards. They are still whiny children. I find white lies and drunken confessions to be in the spirit of honor. Doesn't seem like a good business model.
It wasn't.
No, see?
But Dalum A founded the company to be good and do good, to wash all the grime that stuck in his scales during the war. As such, he'd only agree to work that didn't diminish what we stood for. But contracts have a way of leaving out the details.
It sounds like your company was tricked into making a bad choice.
We were, and we did.
And what was the bad choice your company made? What caused you to split up?
The job was simple. Clear out a cave of necromancers that were terrorizing one of the clans that resided near the border. The clan said a hatchling had gone missing, and rumors were abound of corpses stolen for experiments, and live bodies turned into corpses.
And what did you find in the cave?
When we got there, the shadow scale Ula Wei scouted ahead as the rest of us waited near the entrance. He found bear traps and tripwires. The occupants were further in, he said, black-robed mages, chanting. The whole thing stunk like a Thalmor's wet diaper. Traps or no, bandits usually post sentries in and outside the cave. The Nord, Arnwolf, though, he got tired of all the standing around. Black robes and ominous words. Good enough for him. Dalum A gave the nod. Couldn't chance it. Some poor hatchling could have been on a table, about to become some sick bastard's war puppet.
Did you rescue the child?
Sadly, no. The child was on the table like Ula Wei said, but she was already dead. The people around her were mourners. Black robes. They were refugees from Cyrodiil, Altmer, Khajiit, and Argonian, driven from Leaween. To the clans, they might as well have been wraiths. I don't know who struck first, It didn't matter. We killed them all. Well, all except one.
Who was it?
It was an Imperial boy, hiding in a small crevice in the rock. I didn't know who he was, or if he was even with the refugees. The boy was a mute. Part of me thought it would be better to slay him, but another part of me saw the hatchling in the swamp, just trying to survive till morning. The company disbanded. Honor brought us together, and dishonor drove us apart. Me and the healer, Elia, went north. The boy, he followed. We split up in Bravel. Don't know why he chose me. Seems to me he was better off with a Breton. But as I kept going north, he never left my side.
You should have ran through a horde of ogres. That would have scared him off. Clearly you lack compassion, you heartless shrew. Man, I go around just calling everyone a shrew. Or I can. The boy probably wanted a mother, and not a score of fathers to share with her.
Ha! I don't think Elia would have wanted him around either. Males grow squeamish at the mere talk of children, let alone the sight of one.
What happened to him?
I kept going north, figuring at some point the boy would stop following me. Gotta give it to the little runt. He had courage.
I know the thunder's a little loud right now.
Eventually, I realized I could have walked right into the sea of ghosts, and the little Histcarp would have dove right in.
So how did you two part ways?
I was halfway through the marsh when I decided to head back to Mortal. I turned to the pesky urchin and told him, "All right, you win." Imagine my surprise when I found myself talking to a patch of death bells. There was no one there. Some may ask why I'm a knight without armor. Others contend I wear the mourner's clothes to honor the brave warriors I slay. Those in my company will tell you I wear it to mourn the refugees who died that day, and all the innocents who die in the pangs of war. I will tell you that there's only one thing in this world I truly mourn. My sanity. Ha 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 ha.
Off to the Shivering Isles with you then, huh? One sec. I'm gonna lower the volume even more for storms and stuff. This is the quietest I can get the thunder without turning it off entirely.
Lead, brave one, and I will follow.
Let's get out of the rain. I'm sure you're okay with it, but me, I want to go inside.
Finally, someone comes in. Kick off your boots, stay a while. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. I got nothing but time these days. Look alive, will ya?
Yeah, keep your dress on.
Thane of Hjalmarch, huh? I wonder if that makes you my Thane as well. There's a nasty
Hurry
rumor
up and
going
order.
around.
I ain't got all day.
Oh. I'm sorry, I was in the middle of a conversation here. You look like you could use a drink. Something the matter?
Did you know the bard who used to play here had a voice like broken glass and fingertips like the knob of a carrot? Sometimes the old goat would venture outside, and when he played, the animals in the marsh would start screaming. I miss the greenskin. His name was Lurbuck, and he was the greatest sodding bard in all of Skyrim.
Have you heard many bards beside Lurbuck?
I have. I may be a tavern wench, but I haven't always been this tavern's wench. You've got a bosom and you can pour a flagon, you can find work just about anywhere.
Damn it, I can't find
Truth is,
work.
I ain't even from Skyrim. I'm from the docks of Anvil, the Gold Coast. My da thinks I'm here to find me roots, be a proper nord and trade my broom for a sword. And all I really wanted was to get away from him.
Why is that?
He didn't beat me or nothing like that. Most rather wish he did. Would have made hating him all the more easier. No, The old goat just thinks he's some kind of honorary Stormcloak the way he goes on about the Nords being the master race.
Oh.
Of course he didn't fight in the Great War, but you wouldn't know it by listening to him talk about it.
The Gold Coast area does have its share of Nords. Didn't the Nords treat you like a local? It always comes down to the father, doesn't it? Well, the Gold Coast does have its fair share of Nords.
Aye, and we do a lot of Nord things. We look like Nords, we eat like Nords, we drink like Nords, and we piss like Nords. But we ain't exactly Nords. Maybe I like the beach more than I like the snow. Maybe I prefer a surly brother's wine to some cheap Nord swill.
Hey, that's my swill. Don't you dare. Oh. Let's change the subject.
Fine, but I ain't got all day.
You don't have any other customers, so I'm sure you do. What's the word around town?
One of the guards came in the other day, took off his helmet, should have kept it on, had lice in his hair as big as mud crabs.
Alright. How long have you worked in the inn?
A long time. Ain't a pot or pan in this inn I haven't washed 1,000 times over. And ain't a chair or stool that hasn't felt me bottom. I'd say the same goes for the men.
Well then.
Now, some tavern girls don't like it when they get rough. I tell them, be careful what you wish for. If a man don't want a taste of your pie enough to steal a slice,
Oh, no.
then either he ain't a man or you ain't a woman.
Oh boy. Right, because being felt up by filthy knaves is a good thing. I'd like to feel your bottom. Oh. But then she'd be like, oh, why haven't you gone and touched it then? Because then you're not a real man or I'm not a real woman. What would she say?
I suspect you do. But a real man don't ask.
See, I told you.
Takes what he wants and apologises after. Even then he don't mean it.
Can I continue my conversation? Poor Annam Law back here is just like, what are you doing? You must have quite the reputation.
Aye. Lots of the lasses like to say Jonah spends all day breaking her back while Ingate spends all night lying on it. But you can't believe every little worm that crawls in your ear. Truth is, I like being on top.
Thank you.
Farewell.
Alright, I'm having a conversation with my friend. Or I was about to. I was hoping you would sit down.
Ingard, a woman of your sizable assets should not be without protection from the local ruffians. I could craft you a near weightless dagger which you could slip into your waistband.
Let me get this straight. You want me to pay you money for something I'll never use? To keep men from doing what I want?
My apologies, my lady. Perhaps you could use the dagger to threaten timid men who are too polite to smack your bottom.
Aye. Now you're talking.
Man, Morthal's a weird town. We gotta get out of town sometime soon.
How are you holding up, traveler? Don't be afraid to rest early tonight. You've earned it. Don't worry. I'll drink enough for the both of us.
Oh, and there's a dialogue option pertaining to the Elder Knowledge quest. What do you think about all this Elder Scrolls business?
Chasing this scroll makes me feel like a knight again. You have ancient evils, legendary weapons, and heroes to claim them.
I gotta lower the effects volume even more.
It's an exciting time to be alive, isn't it? Although I never expected the weapon to be a shout. I guess it's a Nord thing.
Rein in your emotions. The weapon is potentially dangerous.
Maybe, if you're a dragon. Ha 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 ha. Now, if this shout were called Lizard Rend, then I might have reason to worry. But all right, traveler. I'll do my best. If the Greybeards say it, it's one thing. But I trust you to know the difference between peace and indifference.
You mentioned a company of fighters.
Yes, there was Arnwolf, a former member of the Fighters Guild, in Cyrodiil, a big Nord man with an even bigger laugh. In contrast, Ula Way never said a word. He was a retired shadow scale, and the only noise he made was when he sharpened his daggers.
So a drunk and a mute. What of the other members?
Moontail was a conjurer who conjured monsters as quickly as he conjured lies. And Elia, a Breton healer whose lust for man had no cure.
Oh, like Ingarte.
Then there was the Bosmer Indrel. Lazy girl, that one. When we made camp, she slept in the trees, but always with one eye open. There was a red guard named Bodan, a man whose gift of strings and tongue once earned him a place beside an Argonian tribal chief. And lastly, our leader, Dalum A, a legendary swordsman who fought in the Great War.
All you needed was an orc. This Ellie and I share similar interests. We lazy people prefer to call it stamina conservation. A man who can play the lute is handy on a weary road. All you needed was an orc.
I used to tell Arnwulf he was ugly enough to be one. Ha 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 ha! He never laughed so hard.
Tell me a story from the company's days.
On dreary nights, Bodan would lift our spirits with a song. And when he sang, our spirits would indeed lift, provided Arnwulf didn't join him. But on some nights, when he thought everyone was asleep, he would drift out into the swamp, where only the gods and the Hist could hear his tune. He would play a song that wasn't part of his normal routine, a solemn dirge about a lost love. A song so sad, it moved the trees to tears.
Alright, well, follow me. We're gonna go on a trip.
Lead, brave one, and I will follow.
I was about to say that the way to start her quest is to head to Jorviskar and speak with her. I did not even have to say that. I didn't even have to do that. As soon as I got to Whiterun, boom, traveled to Jorviskar with Animlaw to learn more about the Honorable Eight. See, I'm all over it.
Smile on you, friend.
I know what I'm doing here. Unfortunately, us sitting here means we're just gonna have a lot of shaken pastries, but... well, we're gonna deal with the shaken pastries for a little bit. How do the companions compare to your old company?
Hard to say. Aside from the fact that Dalame recruited mages, I'd say the biggest difference is the name. The companions already have a long history. We were trying to make one. But we were both founded on honor and glory. The fact that a few people around here still believe in it is a testament to their company.
Actually, most of the companions are either hunters or sellswords. There's prestige with the name, but also pressure to live up to it. The companions are still around because they have power. Honor is irrelevant. There is pressure. The companions are a time-honored tradition and guild in Skyrim, and there is absolutely pressure that comes with being a part of it.
I can't even imagine. Our company had to live up to an ideal, but the only people we let down was ourselves. But Iskramor is a real person, and he's up there in Sovngarde, shaking his finger at Torvar every time he gets drunk. Or maybe he's nodding his head in approval. I can't tell with these Nords if drinking yourself stupid is a sin.
It's not a sin. It's an honor to do it. It is part of our culture, damn it. The Honorable Eight. It must have been more than a name.
It was. I could tell you 1,000 stories of the glory days, but most of them only remind me of how it ended and what we lost. But the one I'll always remember fondly is the day we were delivering sacks of potions to a village full of Dunmer refugees. Many of my fellow Argonians didn't like what we were doing. Even Moontail scowled at the notion. But Talome stood his ground. There were sick children who needed these potions. It was the honorable thing.
That's commendable. True honor is doing the right thing, even when it's hard. Also, this boiled cream cheese is gonna fly off the plate, just watch. It's getting closer and closer to the edge. Yeah. Honor is doing the right thing, even when it's hard.
I thank you, traveler. Your words are kind. Still, to some we were traitors, and it wasn't long before they made their feelings known. They ambushed our camp one night when the mist was thick. Skilled warriors with poison-tipped spears. The others fought them off as best they could. Dalome ordered me to stay with the cargo. One by one, I watched my friends emerge from the white, blood dripping from their wounds. Bodan arrived carrying Ulaway on his shoulder. He said more were on the way. He turned to Elia, but she shook her head. She was all out of magicka. Indril was the first to suggest we drank the potions from the shipment. Dalome said he would kill anyone who tried.
What happened next?
I didn't even think. My company looked to me. They trusted me, and I knew then. It didn't matter how many of them were waiting for me in that mist. It was me against them, and I couldn't lose. The others wished me luck. Bodan stood up to speak, but it was Moontail of all people who said the words I'll never forget. Remember, child, he said, it matters not the size of their blades, or the size of their numbers, only the size of your heart. And on that day, it was big enough.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. A letter. Not sure who from. He wouldn't say, just that he was a friend of yours. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
Hail, traveler. I apologize for this ruse, but I sent this letter to you in hopes that it would not be intercepted. And in truth, its words are meant for another. I wish to speak with this person outside the ruins of Folgunther, by the marsh that reminds her of home. Give her my regards, as I hope that both of you are well. Sincerely, an old friend. A friend of mine or a friend of yours? I don't know them, do I? Well,
I'm right behind you.
yeah, come with me. We're going back to Folgunther. We're putting you right back where I found you.